Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today we have a story that I really like. It's engineers and data scientists doing right by engineers and data scientists. What we have is Rita Hendricusdottir from the Oxford NIL Lab, and what they've been working on is creating a web application to help digital innovators, engineers, data scientists with really cool medical device ideas get through to be honest, the challenging, frustrating, boring aspects of regulatory classification. So as digital innovators, it's always cool that we have these great ideas, but the challenge is that there's of course a large number of regulatory loopholes that we need to get through, that we need to first understand and then actually manage the process. And so what Oxford NIL Lab has done is they've created a web application in which you answer a series of questions, and it helps you with that classification process, not only telling you what your idea would be classified as, but also showing you how you can interact with the idea some more and better evaluate it critically in order to understand what are the key aspects of that classification. So, Rita, welcome back to the show. Well, I say welcome back to the show. I realize that your other episode hasn't actually been published yet, but it feels like a welcome back to the show. But Rita, maybe you could just introduce yourself and what you do at the Oxford NIL Lab.
Thank you very much. So my name is Rita Hendricusdottir, and I work as a program manager at the University of Oxford in the NIL Lab. And I oversee the tool we are developing, the Oxford Global Guidance. The NIL Lab is working on medical devices, and we found it, like you said, very difficult to navigate through the regulation. Hence, we have developed this tool to support ourselves, but also the world in navigating the medical device regulation.
Yeah, cool. And just to help people connect the dots a bit, Rita's got some slides, so I'm going to be flipping over to the slides now. But Rita is part of the same group that Jerome Bergman and Daniel Mosfors were part of when talking about the Oxford Biodesign program. So it's a very nice community doing a lot to help digital innovators like ourselves get moving down the path of creating real-world problems. All right, cool. So now that we have your slides up, maybe a good place to get started is for you to tell us a little bit about Oxford Global Guidance. Maybe what is Oxford Global Guidance? What is its mission?
We have just launched our tool, Oxford Global Guidance, that is a digital tool to support early stage innovators in navigating the in vitro diagnostic and also medical device regulation. This tool has been developed by the NIL Lab in the Department of Engineering Science at the University of Oxford, and it's funded by the EPSRC and the EIT Health.
Cool. And how did Oxford Global Guidance come about? Was there a particular reason you chose to focus on medical device regulation as opposed to another healthcare aspect or other types of regulation?
The NIL Lab focuses on wearable technologies, which can be used as a medical device. In order to make a device that will benefit patient, you have to take into account the medical device regulation at the early stages of your development. However, there's a very little support available at the academic institutes to help you with the medical device regulation. And the regulatory consultant is often not available for an early stage innovators if no funding is in place. So therefore, this is a key problem we face across the different projects within the NIL Lab. So as our group did not have additional funding to talk to a consultant, we decided to invite experts to give talks on different aspects of the regulation and educate the interested academics at the same time. And what we found is that there were more academics and early stage innovators that also wanted to make an impact and wanted to understand the medical device regulation better. This is when we thought that by creating a digital tool, this will not only help us and the people at the University of Oxford, but also early stage innovators in Europe and also globally.
Now, on to the development process. Could you tell us a bit more about the development process, including the support that you got from the EIT Health and the EPSRC? For those listening in the US, the EIT is the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, EIT, and the EPSRC is the Engineering and Physical Life Sciences Research Council It's one of the British Research Council. So if you do research in the UK, EPSRC, it's an acronym that just rolls off the tongue because you've heard it so much.
Oxford Global Guidance is developed based on need-led research. So initially, we did 14 semi-structured interviews with early-stage innovators, which showed that early-stage innovators struggle with the first part of the regulatory path to determine if their technology is a medical device and which class the device belongs to. In particularly, they struggle with the language, the device description, and also understanding of the timeline. And using this knowledge from these interviews, we developed a prototype which was further tested during workshops and user interviews. And the feedback showed that users found the usability of the tool to be excellent.
So it seems like the advantages of this tool for an innovator, a researcher, or a company are pretty clear. Could you go through us again on sort of what are the key advantages that you really want to highlight of the Oxford Global Guidance tool?
Regulators of medical devices are continually evolving in order to protect the patient, of course. Innovators developing medical devices need to adhere to these regulations, and this can be challenging, as innovators often have no formal training in the interpretation and also application of these regulations. So lack of regulatory understanding results in delays, and it can prevent the technology from ever reaching the market, and this will directly impact patient care. Oxford Global Guidance solves a need that emerged from our user-centered research, which showed that the first step of understanding the regulations is a major bottleneck for as many early-stage innovators working on health technologies. We found that these innovators spent many months trying to find out if their device needs to be regulated by the medical device regulations. So using the result from our study, we developed the first module that we released last month. The focus is to support the innovators with the first steps of the regulatory strategy. So the focus is to support with writing a device description, to define if the product is a medical device, to determine the class of the medical device according to the Medical Device Regulation EU, and in vitro diagnostic medical device regulation. The tool supports the innovators in understanding the definitions and the classification rules. The language is tailored to the innovator's knowledge, and we have integrated examples and notes from other guidance documents to further enhance their understanding of the regulation. And this will save them a lot of time when developing their regulatory strategy.
Yeah, and I know from our own, personal conversations that this tool was, we've been talking about this tool for a while, but it was actually published early due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Have you had any instances of it being used for products in this way?
So Oxford Global Guidance was released earlier than anticipated in order to support innovators in developing medical solutions for the COVID-19 pandemic. The groups here at Oxford developed the Oxvent in response to COVID-19, used Oxford Global Guidance to classify their device. So far, we have got more than 1,500 users according to our site analytics, and I'm sure there are companies out there working on COVID-19 solution that will benefit from Oxford Global Guidance.
Well, that's really great. And, obviously as a piece of technology, the next question is obviously, what are your plans to expand the tool? Are you going to be coordinating with other collaborators on this? Which ways are you looking to move the product forward?
We are looking to expand our services to cover the next step of the medical device regulations. And our goal is to support innovators on their regulatory journey from the design, the development, to placing the product on the market. So we want to increase the chance for a startup to succeed and thereby increase the chance of device reaching the patient, making a positive impact on patient lives. At the moment, the tool is a free service, and how long it will remain free is depending on the future funding streams. But the incentive is to remain freely available to those innovators most in need. and we are working on a sustainability strategy and aim to keep the tool up to date within an ever-changing regulatory environment.
Well, Rita, thanks so much. This is really cool. I really appreciate you coming on to tell us about this new opportunity for digital innovators. For those interested, we have both the link for both the app and Oxford Global guidance in the description below. So be sure to click on those, follow the links, play around with the app. It is really cool and really fun. And Rita, thanks so much for your time today and everything that you're doing for the innovative community.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, that's it for this episode of the Pod of Asclepius. We hope you enjoyed it and will tune in for our next episode. If you're watching from YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave a like. You can also follow us on our other social media channels, including LinkedIn, Twitter and Instagram. Have a great story or presentation that's ready for prime time? Or know someone who does? Drop Glenn an email because he'd be happy to hear from you. We would like to thank our sponsors from the American Statistical Association section on Statistical Learning and Data Science, section on Medical Devices and Diagnostics, and North Carolina chapter. The views expressed on the show are those of the speaker and not their employers, our sponsors, or anyone else not saying the words.